Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Southside Beat here on the DK Pittsburgh Sports Steelers YouTube channel and podcasting network. Chris Halicke, Matt Williamson, both here. We have actual football to talk about today, Matt. How excited are you to actually talk about something that's fresh and not practices that not everybody's seeing?
It's definitely good stuff. Don't get me wrong. But, I mean, they rested
19.
I heard 18,
Yeah.
but, I mean, I was listening to Max Starks on the post game. It depends if you count who you count and who you don't.
Right.
Non-injured players was what I was going to go with, the 18.
Right. Yeah.
But that, to me, was great. They stayed healthy. I thought everything about the game was very crisp, and it wasn't a mess in terms of procedural stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They hung with a depth chart ahead of them. I mean, it wasn't a ton, but their twos played against the ones.
Yep.
And even the borderline starters that did play, the Peyton Wilsons and guys like that, got in and out and did their job, and we saw enough, and boom. And they won the game. We got good quarterback play. I like the offensive play calling. There's not much to – I had two little things I didn't love, but other than that, I thought it was a highly successful mission.
Well, let's get into some of the things that we did like, and one of the ones that I anticipated to be amongst fans one way or the other was going to be the way the offensive line looked.
Yeah.
And here Louis says Troy and Broad ease my worries a little bit. I thought the pass protection looked really, really good. Again, we're talking about, granted, that's the minus Isaac Seumalo. That is the Steelers starting offensive line. They went up against, I think, for the most part, the ones on the Jaguars side of things. And
Josh Allen didn't play, but I was hoping he would. But still, there was their top guys other than him,
Right, and so that's the one thing that you always want to say about preseason is that, listen, the Jaguars aren't opening up the playbook and bringing all kinds of disguises and a whole bunch of complicated stuff that they have to that's going to be hard to deal with on Sundays during the NFL regular season. That being said, you still have to beat the guy across from you, and for the vast majority, I mean, even the one sack that was allowed was on the quarterback, not on the offensive line. So I thought it was a good first step for this unit, but especially for guys such as Broderick Jones.
No question. I did the post-game show with Mike Pizzuta, and several people called in and said that Broderick Jones play. Now, they might have had a bunch of irons and it was late at night and weren't paying attention to the O-line rotation like we might were. But I said several times, I started to become a joke, like, yeah, and we didn't have to call his name, so that was good. I mean, that's what we're looking for here. I don't mean this to be a short podcast. I just feel like my take on the game across the board is just very positive, very good first step. Criticism is going to be hard to come by.
Yeah.
Handled it like a business trip. Didn't put a lot of the top guys in harm's way over and over at basically every position. Good stuff.
Yeah, I thought it was good. The one thing that I was really looking for, because it was emphasized by Mike Tomlin and players even heading into practice, or throughout practice and then heading into this game, was how well they operated in terms of cleanliness, limiting penalties, limiting like procedural type things like illegal motion and ineligible man downfield and that kind of stuff. One of the touchdown passes was a well-executed screen. Probably count on one hand how many times those happened last year.
Yeah, takes practice. Yeah.
Right. And so for them to take some of the things that they had been focusing on in practice and then taking it into an NFL stadium and executing it for the most part to exactly what they want to do. I don't necessarily say perfection, but to be able to go out there and execute it, that is exactly what this time of year is all about. It's not about going in and saying, hey, we're going, full out, we are going to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's not what this is about. This is about taking the things that you're working on
that Lawrence doesn't like and things like that. Of course,
yeah, you're not game planning to beat the Jaguars. You're going out there trying to focus on the things that you need to improve on as part of your team development and do that. And I thought they did that very well.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I always have a hard time sitting there watching practice, or in my case, broadcasting during practice and saying, boy, they're getting really crisp with that screen, or they're getting really crisp with their play calling. And, like I have to see it in a stadium, as coach likes to say, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. But of course we are going to get like these type of questions from Mike. Hello, gentlemen. Did Beanie Bishop play well enough to make the team? I don't think I think there are certain performances that can pretty much get you cut.
Yeah.
To make the team off of one preseason game, you're probably not going to see that kind of performance.
I also think there's 7 corners in the mix for probably 6 spots.
Yeah.
And I think Trice or Bishop is probably on the short end of the stick, assuming they love Pierre's special team skills.
Yes,
one of those 3 is going to be out.
Yeah, because when you talk about what all they have, you have your top 4 no matter what, and then you could really make an argument.
I assume you're including Eccles as
number
4.
Yeah,
he's in for sure.
Yeah,
right.
he's a lock. He's not going anywhere. But then you talk about, James Pierre. Yeah, he's not that great defensively, but he's a really good special teams guy.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have, Corey Trice, who can do both. And then you have Beanie Bishop, who my biggest concern about Beanie Bishop, and this almost has nothing to do with the game. It just has everything to do with he plays one thing. Like he does one thing, and he plays in the slot. He doesn't play outside. He doesn't play special teams particularly well. So
not the hardest thing to find either.
Yeah.
Not as undrafted free agent,
Right. And so I have when you look at Corey Trice, obviously the big concern there is his health. Can he stay healthy? But he does multiple things. James Pierre does multiple things, and having versatility is key. It just is, especially
on game
when
day
you're
in particular, and Eccles will be your backup slot, and
Yeah, exactly. So, let's see, and see,
and really to no fault of Beanie's. Not like he was terrible or anything. It's just he might be caught in a numbers game. The Ramsey trade didn't help him.
No, it did not. I don't think he did anything to make the roster. I don't think he did anything to get cut either.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of performance last night. Really quick before we go to break, one final question: which lesser-known players increased their chances to make the roster? Anybody who's like a UDFA or guy who's really down to the depth chart kind of stand out to you last night?
I'll be honest. I was kind of a little taken aback by the offensive line rotation, how they once they got away from number 1. I'd make sure I'm pulling up his name on our lads just so I don't screw it up. But I had not paid a ton of attention. Stephen Jones is a guy I've watched quite a bit, and I'm a fan.
Jones.
I'm a Stephen Jones fan. I've been talking him up.
Yeah.
Boy, he's not even on our lads. Who's the guard that played all those snaps last night? I'm
trying to remember. Nestor?
No, not Nestor. I've been paying attention to him because I do the show with Wes Euler now, and he's a WVU guy, so we talk about him too much. I'll be honest with you.
I know exactly what you're
Aiden
talking
Williams.
About.
I didn't know anything about Aiden Williams, but he played a lot and he played okay. I'm reaching here a little bit. Don't get me wrong, but Aiden Williams was a guy I was like, oh, he's out there a little early. I also think McCollum not being out there made Sharping play center, which was probably a little unfair to him because he's not really a center.
Right. I like Craig's answer here. I thought Hurlman showed us some things.
Throwing on you.
Yeah. Now granted, okay, going all the way back to rookie minicamp, you could see the way he moves, and he moves great. He's in and out of breaks quick.
Good athlete.
He's a really good athlete. And I know that there are some on the coaching staff who really, really like him. When you have a guy who goes from Colgate University and makes it at Notre Dame as a walk-on, like that's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm. That being said, his body around and he does
right.
Yeah.
That being said, it's still a whole another leap to the NFL level. So
super quick, this is going to become something I've been harping on a lot lately. Is there's a big difference, or there isn't a big difference from, boy, they might have someone, he might make the roster, to the second you get into week 1, he's one of those guys I talk about all the time that the defense says, thank you for putting you on the field.
Exactly.
And like Scotty Miller might be the definition of that. You know what I mean?
Like, I would say, listen, when it comes to everybody trying to like, okay, let's calm the preseason Jets down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Vaughn's. I mean, I think I brought his name up. I think
last
week,
time we got together,
and you were like, I don't even remember him. Like he was a preseason. I don't want to say God, but he was a preseason darling. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And he never went anywhere else and did anything. Like it's.
I mean, 1 out of 20 do. I'm sure we could come up with names. Don't get me wrong, Priest Holmes.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, there's going to be a couple, but generally speaking, you get the regular season, they get exposed.
Yeah. All right, well, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue to talk about the game and also continue to look forward to what we might see as training camp wraps up this week. That's a pretty big milestone of the preseason, along with a home preseason game next week against the Buccaneers. So we'll be right back right after this.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Southside Beat here on the DK Pittsburgh Sports Steelers YouTube channel. I am running on like 4 hours of sleep, which happened about
weird, yeah.
Let's see, that happened. I slept from I got home. We didn't go to sleep last night. Like we just did. Like we went from the stadium to the airport. We flew out at 5:10 this morning.
Whoa, okay.
And we landed in Pittsburgh. We had a layover in Atlanta, and then we landed in Pittsburgh at like 8:45. And I got home. By the time I got home, it was like 10:15, and I just threw all my luggage down, got my toothbrush out, brushed my teeth, put my toothbrush away, went into bed. I just I hugged my family real quick. I'm like, I'm going to sleep. And I slept for about 4 hours. So, yeah.
Mine wasn't nearly as bad, but I hosted the post-game show till about 1 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
But that was, I was home by 1:30. Recorded my DK podcast. I was in bed by 2:30-ish, give or take.
That's like a normal Saturday night for me, man.
Yeah, it wasn't too insane, right?
Really quick, I did want to bring this up because all this talk about who's going to make the roster and who's not, but I do think this one's interesting. I think I know the answer to this, but I still think it's at least interesting to discuss. Cool Rays says Skylar Thompson will make the team also. Now you get 3 quarterbacks. Most teams don't keep 4.
Steelers always keep 3, which is
And so Will Howard, I even saw I've seen some discussion on this, and some people are like, yeah, you could just IR him. Well, there's a chance he might even be back to play in the final preseason game.
Right. I don't want to lose that option.
Yeah, and so it's like, okay.
He also wants to make that decision right the second. I mean, Skylar Thompson could come out next week and be horrible.
Yeah. So I do think he looked good last night for sure. But it's also the first preseason game.
Yeah.
He wasn't facing starters.
He played very well, though. I think we all concede that. Yeah.
He did. I just don't think that you make Skylar Thompson an automatic roster lock. Knowing what you have in obviously Aaron Rodgers and Mason Rudolph, and then what you have in Will Howard as a potential developmental piece of quarterback.
I 100% agree. The one thing I would consider is practice squads are big enough now. Maybe I'd keep a 4th one, him, on the practice squad.
I would love to be able to keep Skylar Thompson on the practice squad. The problem with that is if you cut him,
he might get scooped up.
Exactly. There could absolutely
doesn't happen as often as people think, because for Team X to scoop him up, they got to teach him the whole system by next week. You know what I mean? There's logistics to it to make it harder than you think. Now you might put him on your practice squad and someone steals him in a week. That could happen. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I'm trying to go through comments here. We got a lot of people in the comments, which
I fired up, man. Post game show, everybody was psyched.
I'm kind of anticipating. Here's a good one, not game related, but we can still talk about it. Bernard asks, are y'all worried about Rodgers' mobility at 41?
A little. I mean, because the mobility stuff we've seen live looks good, but it's on air and it's individual stuff, and he's not a stiff. I can promise you guys that.
It's not a statue.
Right. But if it was Josh Allen next to him, we'd probably be like, well, he's not as mobile as you think. You know, I mean, like, he's not going to be in the top half of mobility anymore.
Listen. There are certain Twitter accounts that people just need to block and mute, and if you could, fire it into the sun. There are, like, and one of them is Dove Kleiman. I have no problem even calling it out. I don't think it's even an actual person anymore.
That is,
but he shares, or it shares, clips all the time, and they put their own little captions with it. And that account, like, shared, like, Aaron Rodgers' mobility is a major issue at Steelers training camp. Even one fan yelled that he needs a wheelchair. And as somebody who's been there literally every day, I can attest that has not happened. And so
I've gotten a kick out of several people in media saying, boy, he's having a great camp. And I'm like, I've never seen you at camp.
It's true.
I've seen you there a lot.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of our friends there, but there's a lot of people that have commenting on how good or bad someone's camp has been. And I'm like, I haven't seen you there once.
Yeah. It is interesting. Follow the people that actually are there every day, covering the team. And yes, I do think Aaron Rodgers has had a good camp, but I also think that that is within the proper context of anybody who's having a good camp or a good preseason game, as we've been talking about. It's within the context of the entire team development phase, which is what this is. They are continuing to install the offense and the defense right now.
Sure.
Like, this is not like what you saw last night. And, I've seen a lot of comments about, I thought Arthur Smith's offense looked really good. I'm like, see, here's the thing, is that was a fraction of the playbook.
Right. Those are basic stuff.
Everything that he has
against basic defenses.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's kindergarten.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
That is literally like, if you were to, like, take the playbooks that you have, and like for example, like, there are, I don't even know how many plays there are in the most recent, like, college football video game, but there are a lot of plays in there. And if you were to go back to, like, 1994 Super Nintendo Madden and look at the number of plays that are in there, that's pretty much what the team had last night. And what teams go into all preseason games with. They're not going out there to tip their hand and being like, hey, this is what we're going to do during the regular season. Like, this is very much.
Let alone game planning for the opponent, as you said. Like,
yeah,
I feel like the Pirates could play the Reds and not watch 1 ounce of film or anything, and probably none of us would know the difference. But if the Steelers did that against the Bengals, it would be a disaster. You know what I mean? Like, you have to game plan for that sport. There's just a lot different than the minors, I guess, my example.
The one thing that I can say, at least from the little bit that we saw last night and from what we've seen in training camp, Carroll says, looks like they have a quarterback room that can and is willing to run Arthur Smith's offense. I would agree with that. I don't think that now granted, and I wrote about this after having a 12-minute conversation with him last week. He does tailor his offense to who he has at his disposal. He is not going to go out there and ask Russell Wilson to do the things that Ryan Tannehill did for him in 2019. It's just they're two different quarterbacks. So he will tailor his offense to who he has. That being said, he obviously has his own strengths as a coordinator and as an offensive mind. And yes, I do believe he has a quarterback room, not just Aaron Rodgers, but Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson and Will Howard, that can execute the things that he wants to do more of, rather than just throwing outside the numbers all the time.
I would love to hear the conversations that are still ongoing, and they probably started when Rodgers came here months before he signed. I've been doing this a long time, Coach. I know I have a lot of respect for you, but there's some staples I want to keep in my offense, like what give and take and what compromise. And that doesn't mean like inmates are running the asylum or anything stupid like that. No, it's catering to your personnel,
Oh, and listen, when you have a quarterback of Aaron Rodgers' experience and knowledge, like, you are going to, again, you're not going to ask him to go out there and run the wishbone. He obviously, he's put on tape for 20 years what he's good at. So do that. I mean, and if he comes
Sure.
to you and says, like, these are the things that I want to do, this is, I mean, he's also, his game evolved over time too, so he can do some new things as well. But yeah, it is a give and take oftentimes between the quarterback and the coordinator. I love this comment here. Wild Bill says, I didn't realize how much I hated the moon ball until last night. How many actual moon balls or go balls were there last night? I think the only one that you could possibly even define as one was the touchdown pass to Keyshawn Williams. I think that's like the only one, because it was a true one-on-one. He didn't like do any breaks.
Shot.
Yeah. So, but that's like the only one. Everything else was throws over the middle, in the intermediate portion of the field. It's amazing how much fans can get behind that whenever you see it well executed.
Yeah. Back foot hits, ball comes out, those type of things. And that's just not Wilson.
It is not. It's going to be a different offense this year. That is for sure. I do want to kind of get
real quick.
This.
I know Aaron Rodgers has this reputation too, but the really smart X's and O's people you talk to be like, oh, Russell Wilson's going to adapt to Arthur Smith's offense or the one in New York with the Giants. It always just becomes the Russell Wilson offense.
Yeah. Listen, he has been really, really good at what he's done for a long time, but it's not a game that ages well.
Exactly.
It just, okay. I can't believe we've gone 21 minutes and not talked about the 70-yard field goal.
That was insanity.
I remember. So, like, we're in the press box, and as soon as it launches and it starts to hit the apex, I'm like, and this is being kicked away from our direction. Like, we're at like the 10 or the goal line on the opposite side, pretty much. But we're low enough too, where we can be like, where you can really see. And like, as soon as I hit the apex, I'm like, that might actually go far enough. And it's just crazy. I didn't think that I'd ever see a 70-yard field goal in my life.
And just watching the TV copy, Tomlin was sitting there with a couple of veterans, like that weren't dressed, his buds that are on the team. And they were like annoyed. They're like, they're going to try this. I just want to get in the damn locker room, and then they looked at it like, oh my gosh, like two of the most startling things that happened last night were that and Mike Tomlin had a press conference where no one asked him a question.
Okay, I do
I
want
have some insight on that, by the way. But
I do want to talk about that actually, because we got some real big pushback on our app on DK Pittsburgh Sports.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
like,
then
how could you not ask him a question?
Then obviously on social media, it like really, really like a lot worse there. So let me. Okay, so Jim brings up the Tomlin press conference is hilarious. Okay, so let me break this down for you, sport by sport. So I've covered baseball and football. Like I have multiple seasons covering baseball, multiple seasons covering football. In baseball, you go downstairs. The very first thing you do is you go into the press conference room and you wait for the manager.
Okay.
Manager comes in, he talks. Then you all go down as a group of reporters go down, and then they open up the clubhouse. So the two are not going on simultaneously. That is that is not the case in football.
Okay. When you go over,
you go downstairs in football. And most outlets, like especially for us, we usually have multiple reporters there.
Mm-hmm.
We did have multiple reporters there. It was DK and myself. And sometimes we'll be like, I'll go to the press conference room, you go to the locker room or whatever. A game like last night.
They're both going on at the same time.
Right. Yes. Because they do both go on at the same time. And PR will do a great job of being like, hey, any other players that are going over, like they told us, like, hey, Mason Rudolph's going over right now. That way, if anybody wants to go ask him questions, they can leave the locker room, go over there. With Mike Tomlin, it's like, okay, listen. What did I have to ask him? And listen, if you have a suggestion, please bring it up here in the comments, because I am more than happy.
You knew he was going to address the injuries right off the bat, which he did. And
right. So we got injuries, and we knew we were going to get injuries no matter what, because he brings that up on his own.
Yeah.
So that doesn't have to be asked. You're not going to ask the Cam Hayward question in a post-game press conference.
Well, right.
You're not going to ask that question. And I know that's going to be the big thing about, like, you could have gone in there and asked about Cam Hayward's contract situation. No, because if you remember the Buffalo playoff loss, whenever his contract was asked about, which is not game related, if you were asking a non-game related question after in a post-game press conference, you will not get an answer.
Okay. Yeah.
We talk with Mike Tomlin after every single practice of training camp. So tomorrow, after practice is over, and if we see Cam Hayward not practice again, or if he does the same thing that he does, that would be a more appropriate time to be like, hey, what's going on with the Cam Hayward situation? How are you handling this? Not after a preseason game. It's just not the time to ask that question. Other than that, I had nothing else I wanted to get from him, and I had a lot of questions.
It was such a clean game.
Exactly. There was no controversy. It was. I mean, I wanted to go ask Darnell Washington questions. I wanted to go ask Skylar Thompson questions. I wanted to go ask Juan Thornhill questions. Peyton Wilson. I want to go talk to those guys. I had that was way more interesting to me and to DK. I can't speak for other reporters. And obviously, things in the locker room were more important than them too, because there were no other reporters in there.
Pursuta and I thought there was a very good chance that there just was hardly anybody in the room to ask the question.
It was just camera guys. That's it.
Okay.
So it's just
like, and he also mentioned people, not you guys, but people, less people travel than ever too. There weren't as many reporters there as there would be for a regular season game,
especially for preseason.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, now granted, once the regular season comes, like, so when we go, when everybody goes to New Jersey to for the season opener, I expect full everything from everyone. Every single TV station is going to be there. Multiple reporters from almost every outlet. DK and I we double cover every single Steelers game, and I would be surprised if there were certain home games where we have even another reporter where we triple team it.
And even if they win 40-0 against the Jets, there's still be something to ask him about.
Yeah,
more than this game, probably.
Right, because the game. First off, the game actually means something.
Right.
And then
that's a big 3rd and 1 call you made. No one cares about what you did on 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 in Jacksonville in the preseason.
I think I even saw somebody say, "Yeah, you could have asked about the 4th and 1 run call, like the play call in the 4th and 1 where Caleb Johnson got stuffed." I'm like, I already know the answer to that question. I don't even need to ask him that. It is 4th and 1. Mike Tomlin probably wants to see how the offensive line is going to block in a specific situation. It's not the time where we're like, no matter what, we need to convert this. It's like, let me put my guys in a certain situation and see if they can execute it or not.
And they didn't in that case. Okay.
There you go. You have an answer to a question.
Right.
That's exactly what the preseason's for. The preseason is about going into games will give you certain situations to practice, which is why we have the preseason. Skylar Thompson comes in, second drive, 2-minute drill, executes it to perfection, pretty much because earlier in the week in practice, he ran a 2-minute drill and got the team down and scored a touchdown.
He was good at it, yeah.
So you continue to work on these things and then carry it over. When you have certain situations, hey, it's 3rd and 7. Like, what's the call? Let me call this. Have Arthur call a specific type of pass concept so that we can try to see if this is going to be an answer for us. 4th and 1. Hey, I just want to run it. I don't want to do a quarterback sneak. I don't want to do a tush push. I don't want to do anything like that. I want to see if my guys can actually block.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I'm going to take that opportunity to just see if they can move anybody. Yeah,
that's what the preseason's about. So, any final thoughts that you have on the preseason? I
mentioned there was 2 things I didn't love, and I think you've been following me enough that there are 2 things that I've been harping on for months now. Is offensive yards per carry need to go up, and sacks need to go up, and they were sort of deficient in those 2 areas. Now, I'm not going to treat it like it's week 4 and it's been a month of that in the regular season. But they ran the ball like 20 times for 66 yards, and they had no sacks, and I think 2 quarterback hits off the top of my head, which I understand there was no TJ Watt. I mean, I'm nitpicking.
Or Alex Highsmith or Nick.
Or Cam Hayward.
So, you will. I mean, listen, number 1 edge rusher last night was Jack Sawyer. He is known more for being a run. Yeah, and he did. Yeah. He's known more for being a run guy, a run stuff guy than a pass rusher. Not saying he can't, like he didn't do that at Ohio State, but it's a totally different ballgame at the NFL level.
Sure.
Like I said, I mean, you had Derek Carmen and Keanu Benton. I thought they did fine. I didn't think they were overly amazing. I also didn't think that they were like overly bad either. Yeah, exactly. So, and then Caleb Johnson, like people are like, they're already starting to write him off. I'm like, listen, it's been 1 preseason game, and some of the run blocking was atrocious.
It was.
So
the second line, of course, right?
Yeah. So we
Again,
did.
I'm nitpicking on depth guys that probably will never be in the game.
It's still something to that's worth noting because what happens if and when the Steelers deal with a lot of injuries on the offensive line. It's very possible. So
Doug Nestor's out there, or whoever, Charvin, or right.
Exactly. All right. Well, that's gonna wrap it up for this episode of the Southside Beat. We'll be back hopefully later this week. There's a joint practice with the Buccaneers on Thursday at Acrisure Stadium. I will be there for that. And then on Saturday at Acrisure Stadium, the Buccaneers are staying in town to play a preseason game. So I'll be excited about that. But we also have 2 more practices at St. Vincent College to talk about as well next time we meet up.
And I will see you tomorrow there. Yeah.
Yes, I will be there. I'm excited for it. At least one more night at Sharky's together too.
Indeed.
All righty. We'll catch you guys on the Flippity Flip. We'll see you later.